Hi guys, up until now we've been focusing on a specific area of maths each week. That might be solving part whole problems or comparison problems using addition or subtraction strategies, or focusing on a multiplication or division strategy. This week we're going to investigate mixed operation problems with at least two steps that will require us to use a combination of strategies. To begin with, let's get thinking. I've got three different bars that I'd like you to discuss and solve with a partner. The first bar is made up of one blue part and three equal green parts. We know the blue part is worth 5, we know each of the green parts is worth 3, and we want to work out the whole amount. The second bar is made up of one yellow part and two equal red parts. We know the whole amount is 28, we know both of those red parts are worth 6, and we're trying to work out the value of that yellow part. And the third bar is made up of one blue part and 4 equal orange parts. We know the whole amount is 35, we know the blue part is worth 19, and we want to know what's the value of each of those orange parts. Pause the video for a few minutes and have a go at solving one or more of those. Let's have a go at solving these. For that first bar, we know each of those green parts is worth 3, so let's put 3 counters in each of those. We can work out how much those 3 green parts are worth together by multiplying 3 by 3 to get 9. We know that we've got 5 in that blue part, so in order to work out the whole amount, we can add the 9 and the 5 to get 14. For the second bar, we know those two red parts are worth 6. So let's put 6 counters in each of those. We can multiply 2 lots of 6 to get 12. So the red parts are worth 12 altogether. And we know that the whole amount is 26. So I could either take 12 away from 26, I could count on from 12 up to 26, or I could count back from 26 down to 12. I'm going to count on. I'm going to start at 12 and I'm going to add 10 to begin with, which takes me up to 22. So I can add 4 more to get to 26. Therefore, the yellow part is worth 14. And for the last bar, we know that that blue part is worth 19. So let's put 19 in there. I could work out what those 4 orange parts are worth altogether by finding the difference between 19 and the 35. Again, I'm going to count on. So let's start at 19. And I'm going to count on 1 to take me up to 20. Then I can add 10 to take me up to 30. And then I can add the remaining 5 to take me up to 35. So those orange parts all together are worth 16. Now that I've done that, I can share out the 16 equally. And when I do that, I can see that I put 4 counters in each part, so each of those orange parts are worth 4. It's time to get investigating with a partner. I've got 2 problems that I'd like you to have a go at together. Lando bakes 33 cookies. He keeps 15 cookies for himself and shares the rest out equally between Lucy, Groot and Hagrid. How many cookies do they each get? And the second question, Cole buys 4 apples, 2 oranges and a pineapple. An apple costs 8 pence, an orange costs 7 pence, and a pineapple costs 13 pence. How much does Cole spend altogether? Remember, the answer is not the most important thing here. What I'm most interested in is how do you work that out. So I want you to use bars to analyse them, use whatever resources you've got available to solve them, and then can you explain your thinking by drawing pictures or number lines. So pause the video for 8 to 10 minutes, have a go at those, and then share your thinking with the rest of the class. Let's have a look at that first problem. Lando bakes 33 cookies, he keeps 15 cookies for himself and shares the rest out equally between Lucy, Groot and Hagrid. How many cookies do they each get? So we can analyse this problem by drawing the bar to represent the whole amount to begin with, and that whole amount represents the total number of cookies that Lando bakes. He shares some of those cookies equally between Lucy, Groot and Hagrid. So let's create 3 equal parts for each of them, and then he keeps some for himself. So we've got a blue part to represent the amount that Lando keeps. As you can see, we can describe those as the amount that Lando keeps and the amount he gives to Lucy, Groot and Hagrid. Once we've done that, we can put the values in we know. We know that he bakes 33 cookies altogether. We know that he keeps 15 for himself, and the rest of those are shared out equally. So we're looking for the value of each of those parts. To solve this, let's start by putting out that whole amount of 33 cookies. So we can put out 10 cookies, and another 10 cookies to make 20, and another 10 cookies to make 30, and then a final 3 to make 33. I'm going to use a number line to record the steps that we take here. I'm going to start by giving Lando those 10 cookies. We've now got 23 cookies left. He needs another 5 cookies, and rather than taking away 5 all at once, I might take away 3 cookies to take me down to 20 cookies left, and then another 2 cookies, so there are 18 cookies left. Lando's now got all 15 cookies that he kept. So those 18 cookies now need to be shared equally between the other 3. I can start by giving them 1 each, and we've got 15 left. Let's give them another 1 each, and there's now 12 left. And another 1 each, there's now 9 left. Another 1 each, there's now 6 left. Another 1 each, and there's 3 left. So again, I can give them 1 each. That's all the cookies shared out, so we can see that Lucy, Groot and Hagrid each receive 6 cookies. Let's discuss that second problem. Cole buys 4 apples, 2 oranges and a pineapple. An apple costs 8 pence, an orange costs 7 pence, a pineapple costs 13 pence. How much does Cole spend altogether? Again, let's start by drawing the bar to represent the whole amount. And that whole amount represents the total that Cole spent. We can split that bar firstly into 4 parts to represent the 4 apples, another 2 parts to represent the 2 oranges, and we've got that third part to represent the pineapple. And we can describe each of those parts. We know an apple costs 8 pence, we know an orange costs 7 pence, and that pineapple costs 13 pence, and what we're trying to work out is the whole amount. I can use counters to represent the cost of each of those pieces of fruit. Each of my apples cost 8 pence, so we can put 8 counters in each of the green parts. Both of my oranges cost 7 pence, so I can put 2 lots of 7 in each of those parts, and I know the pineapple costs 13 pence, so I'm going to put 13 counters in my yellow part. Once again, I'm going to record the steps that I'm taking on my number line. To begin with, we can work out how much he spent on those 4 apples. We've got 4 lots of 8. You may want to partition that like we've done in previous weeks. I know that 4 times 8 is 32, so far he spent 32 pence. Next, we've got the 2 oranges. So we've got 2 lots of 7, and 2 lots of 7 gives us 14. So let's add that to the 32. And when we add 14 to 32, we get 46. You might have done that by adding 10 to begin with to get to 42, and then 4 to get to 46. And finally, we're going to add the cost of the pineapple. So we're adding the 13 pence. I'm going to start by adding the 10 to get to 56, and then I can add the 3 to get to 59, which means that altogether, Cole spent 59 pence. It's time to discuss our success criteria. How did we achieve success? So pause the video for a few minutes and discuss with a partner the steps that you would go through in order to analyse and solve similar problems. For both of these problems, the first thing we can do is draw a bar to represent the whole amount. And once we've done that, we can then describe that whole amount. That's the total cookies that Lando baked in that first problem, and the total cost of Cole's fruit in the second problem. We can then decide how many parts to split the bar into. In the first problem, that was 3 equal parts to represent the cookies that he gave to Lucy, Groot and Hagrid. and then a fourth part to represent the cookies that he kept for himself. And in the second problem, that was the 4 apples, the 2 oranges, and the 1 pineapple. And once we've done that, we can describe each of those parts. Now, we don't need to be too strict on the order that this is done. Some of you might want to do it in the order that I've described, whereas some of you might want to build that bar up each part at a time. The last thing we can do is write the values in that we know. The reason we've done this is because it allows us to visualise the problem and it helps us make decisions about the strategies that we want to use in order to solve them. It's time to try that out. Can you apply that success criteria in order to analyse and solve each of the following problems? As ever, each of the problems have got 3 different sets of values. I want you to choose the values that are most suited to you. So for the first question, I'm going to use the yellow values. Mrs. Crabapple has a box of 12 pencils. She gives each table 2 pencils. How many pencils does she have left? For question 2, I'm going to use the green values. Tin Man reads 7 pages of his book every day. After 5 days, he still has 17 pages left to read. How many pages are there in the book altogether? And for question 3, I'm going to use the red values. Leah buys 3 bars of chocolate and 2 bottles of water. A bar of chocolate costs 26 pence. She spends £1.56 altogether. How much is a bottle of water? If you manage all of those in the time, why don't you have a go at making up 3 problems for somebody else to analyse and solve? So use bars to analyse these, use whatever resources you've got available in order to solve them, and draw pictures and use number lines in order to explain that thinking. Pause the video for 10 minutes or so and have a go at those. It's time to reflect on today's learning. So with a partner or as a class, I want you to discuss the following questions. What have you learned today? What did you find easy or difficult? Did you get stuck? What helped you when something got tricky? What do you need more help with? What is really making you think? And what are your next steps? The last thing I'm going to ask you to do today is, can you apply what we've learned? So as a class, I'd like you to discuss, analyse and solve the following problem. Ralph, Wicket and Rocket each have some sweets. Ralph has twice as many sweets as Wicket. Rocket has 13 sweets. Altogether, they have 34 sweets. How many sweets does Ralph have? Thanks for joining me again today. As ever, you can contact me at scott.morrow@southayrshire.gov.uk if you want to share your solutions or if you've got any questions about today. Or you can follow me on Twitter @ScottMorrowSA. Next week, we're going to be looking at fractions again, where we're going to be investigating equivalent fractions. I hope you can join me then.